What is happening, everybody, man? Thank you guys tuning in to another episode of One Big Fire. We got the boys in the house and ready to get after it. What's good, fellas?
Yo, Johnny, what's happening?
What is happening? Man, I had the OG, the GOAT himself, Mr. Kyle Whistle, on Expert Mentors last week, which was episode 295, by the way, which was pretty dang remarkable. And he couldn't believe, he's like, dude, he goes, I appreciate you to keep this thing rocking. And, looking back, just kind of reflecting as we're coming up on episode 300 of that, just looking back over the years, just all of the people that are a part of Honey Badger Nation that just come to give and give and give. And you got, the OG that's running the number one team for the number one brokerage on the planet, just opening the playbook. So if any of you guys listening in are looking for some nuggets and some things to navigate the market, navigate the terrain ahead, he gives five killer takeaways that opens the playbook for Whistle Realty, and just absolute gold. Had me thinking back to, cause as he was going through it and reflecting, on us going into 2010, 2011 timeframe, and really what set the stage for KR coaching into NAEA, and thinking about Al. And we used to talk about the two things, right, that really turned the ship for us in Lawton and got you full-time in Dallas, and it was CHSA and Simple Number Straight Talk Big Profits.
Mm-hmm.
But the other component that, until Kyle talked about it, was having a business operating system. And I'm like, damn, like we weren't able to do what we were able to do without strategic planning, without Vern Harnish, and without mastering the Rockefeller habits. That sprung us into everything that we were able to do by having a plan.
Right.
And, kind of segue into what we've got coming up in September, Al, and really taking that operating system and all the bumps and bruises that we had in owning and operating two brokerages in polar opposite markets and coaching the best of the best for decade more, and really what has become, agent to CEO. And so I'm super excited that we finally have it on the books. We've got it live. The tickets are available. So Al, talk to us, man. We are itching to get back to the land with you for another epic event, but also being able to bring agent to CEO.
Yeah, I'm excited. This is what our second or third time doing it in Cleveland. So Cleveland's excited that it's hosting back in the land again. And, as you were kind of talking about that, I started thinking about, why would someone want to come to agent to CEO? Like where would they be in their business to where this would be the right event for them to go to? There's a lot of events. You can go to a lot of sales events. You can go to a lot of strategies on marketing. We love marketing. We're marketing junkies, but this is the part where it takes, like, this is where you got 350 on the bench and you're going to be lifting, and it is hard, but I think what the easiest place to start is the shift from agent to CEO is between the ears. It's a mindset shift. And that's what I was kind of thinking as you were talking, is that for me, everything changed, because when you're an agent, you're thinking, okay, appointments, how do I improve my scripts? How do I improve my processes so that my consumer experience, not that any of that goes away, but when you make that shift, your thinking every day when you wake up changes. You're thinking about scaling. You're thinking about, who's going to be helping me? Do I have a number two? Do I need a number two? Who's my next hire? Who do I got to get rid of? Who do I need? What anchors do I have in my business that's holding me back? And getting real with it. Mm-hmm. Getting to the truth and having to make some hard decisions. We talk about the book, The Hard Thing About Hard Things. And this year's wrapping up to be another hard year, and yet we still have, you're mentioning Mr. Whistle. I love listening to Kyle. If you ever get a chance to listen to him, super smart guy, funny too. I love Kyle since the day I've met him, and kudos to Kyle and his group. He is a machine. He's taken this agent to CEO to a level that most won't take. I think he has over 100 to somewhere between 100 and 115 agents on his team in
120. Yeah, he's at 120.
120. Absolutely dominating. And what was most impressive, and I didn't listen to that episode, but I'm talking about the last time we chatted with him, was that he has a very matter-of-fact accountability. He doesn't get emotionally attached to, an agent who might be out there doing 20 million on his team. If they're not going to hold themselves accountable and lead and do the daily things that they need to do, he lets them free. And that takes a lot of guts, especially in an environment where everyone's margins are starting to shrink right now, especially in California. So
standards. That's what he was talking about, is standards. And it made me think back to our days, we allowed some bullshit to go on because of performers that were not of high character.
Yep.
And not of high trust. But we needed the production, right?
Right.
And to your point out, Kyle don't care. He has standards. And if you don't meet the standards, deuces. You're out. And he said it's not easy. It's real hard, right? His deal, obviously being in Southern California, deals are bigger, right? So it's hey, you want to be a part of Whistle Realty? 6 deals a year. And he goes, I had to let an agent go. He goes, I really liked her. She was a core value fit, high character, high trust. But she only did 5 deals. She had to go.
Wow.
So it's a great conversation.
Agreements, not expectations.
That's it, man. Agreements versus expectations. That is it. Mr.
Tom
Daves.
I don't remember who was talking about it, but they were kind of talking about what hill are you willing to die on?
Uh-huh.
And and we've all heard that before. But when you translate that into this, it wasn't about that. Actually, it was about this guy who was on PBD podcast, and he was talking to his team at the time. Completely, I think he was like a whistleblower. He'd find people that were doing bad stuff and call them out. So he always had guns, proverbial guns pointed at him. And he said, how much are you what was the way he put it was are you willing to be bought? How much could someone buy you for?
Mm.
And they were well, he's well, what if someone stroked you a check for $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $10 million? And at the end, the bow on it was, if you have a number, then you're willing to be bought. Yeah. You got to be willing to die on it. This is my belief, period. And it kind of speaks to the whole, premise of, if you're trying to make everyone happy, you're going to make nobody happy.
Right.
And when you have that top producer, and Kyle talked about this, they're putting up big numbers, but they're just a core value nightmare. Well, you're going to, by allowing that sends a message to the rest of the team. Yep. saying, you know what, that's okay. I'm cool because they're bringing in some money to help my bottom line. What'll end up happening is they'll start to drop off slowly off the team. And your up and comers, they ain't going to stick around. So
yeah,
good stuff from our boy. I call him Travolta. I don't know if you know this, but he's a really good dancer. So some moves that I was he's a big dude. I'm damn, you got some John Travolta in you. So I just call him Travolta from now on.
I love it. That's awesome.
What's up, Kyle? Yeah. So we got some fun stuff to talk about. Agent to CEO. If you want your tickets, there's literally only 100. We have them split up into 2 groups. There's 80 general admission. They're already starting to sell as of yesterday. And then we have something new that we haven't done before. And we have a VIP. In the VIP, you have closer seating. There's going to be a private dinner. We have that confirmed, by the way, John, by a very prominent, awesome, one of the best chefs in Cleveland is literally going to be upstairs. We're going to take it to the 3rd floor. of the venue that we have has 3 different venues all in one building. Agent to CEO, which was last year. We did a Welcome to the Farm right on the 3rd floor of that same building. We're going to have a private mastermind for our VIPs, followed by some entertainment later. You're also going to get a VIP ticket to the concert, Rock the Spectrum, which is the end of day 2. So make sure you grab your VIP ticket if you want that front and center seat. So cool. Oh,
let's go.
Mention where to get it. honeybadgernation.com. honeybadgernation.com.
honeybadgernation.com or agent2cocle.com. Being able to get it. So I threw it up. It's scrolling down there. So guys, listen, I mean, if you are even on the fence, and it is, right? Like you're serious about, expanding that bottom line and really running your show like a real business. I mean, Agent to CEO is the event. I told you guys that, after we wrapped up last year, it's like, it's the best event we've ever done. And I'm excited to top it again this year. So looking forward to seeing you guys in the land in September.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, and we all agreed the thing that we're focused on this year, not that we're not focused on experience, in the past, but we really are putting an emphasis. The experience is going to be world-class. That we can promise you. We always, I think, do a pretty good job with content. We have great speakers coming. We got the amazing Tina Call, and we have a lineup. We're not going to let you know the other big names that are coming, but we have some really amazing speakers that are going to inspire you. These are people who are actually in it, doing it. They're not just out preaching it. And I'm excited for everyone to experience the Agent to CEO experience, and of course, rock the spectrum. So
for sure.
Good stuff.
Cool. All right, brother, let's dive in. What topics we got today?
Man, we got our CEO. He's busy online, man. In fact, not the ADD out here, but we got Hillsman. Our boy Hillsman just shot a video. We asked him to do a testimonial, so I'll pass that over to you guys from last year's Agent to CEO. He just sent it to me just now. But yeah, Leo got on, and man, he got things riled up. A lot of people talking about it right now. Would love to get your guys' comments on it. But let me find the quote. You can't champion consumers and gatekeep listings at the same time.
Brilliant.
How it
so
started.
True.
And it's interesting. I try to really keep an open mind when it comes to topics, and not just try to jump on one side or the other. But man, I know that Jared James, who we all have a ton of respect for Jared James, he kind of came on and did a video. I just watched this morning, and I commented on it about Howard Hanna, and how Howard Hanna is stating that NAR should stay out of the MLS's business and this and that, and was talking specifically about Howard Hanna and how we should be able to just run our businesses the way we want to run our businesses. Now, I don't disagree with that. I don't want someone telling me like how to run my business model and whatnot. But if your intention is to benefit you as the broker or you as the agent first and consumer second, that's when we're going to start running into problems. And we know Tina Call also put a video up this morning too, talking about how she had put a listing up, and she had every intention on putting it in the MLS, but just to see, she held it private, whatever, and just let her surrounding circles know about it. And she got a full price offer. I think it was like 1.3 million. Did not take it, put it up on the MLS. An out-of-town buyer saw it, was waiting on it, and came in cash at 1.6 million. It's a $300,000 difference. And, that was a perfect example of, and she used the analogy, is like, who throws a party and advertises it, but doesn't put the address anywhere out there for anyone to, you don't know how to get there. Pretty cool analogy, right? Like it makes no sense unless your full intention is to double in that listing, keep everything all in house. And, I suppose that is a strategy, but it doesn't benefit the sellers.
No, not at all. Let me I'm going to share. You've probably seen this, Al. I know, John, you probably haven't seen this. So I'm going to share. I can't share it exactly. I'm just going to read. We had an agent that left Compass, came to EXP, and this is what was sent to them prior to this decision being made. Agent name. Congrats on your 2 new listings this week. Your spring marketing activities are rolling. I did notice that both properties did not start in private exclusive status. I would like to ask you a favor. Can you help me out? On your upcoming listings, I asked for a commitment to use our 3-phase marketing program to expand the options for your sellers. These steps are so important for what we want to accomplish collectively at Compass. Nowhere does it say this is in the best interest of your seller. This is what Compass is pushing down the throats of the agents that work there to put it as market exclusive and give the company an opportunity to double end it, not what's in best interest of the seller. And that's coming from the top. And if I was an agent at Compass, it would be both middle fingers up in the air, and I would be like, see you later. If that's what the mountain they're going to die on is do what's best for us, not what's best for the consumer. That's a dying proposition. It's a mountain I'm willing to die on. There's no way if I'm a professional that I'm going to have somebody telling me that that's what I have to do. And they're going to try to cram that down my throat, knowing that that's not best for my seller. I'm out. You're crazy.
Yeah. Talk them through, right? Because we address this in CHSA. So all of you guys listening in, honeybadgernation.com. 2012, but we really test drove this thing in 2010 and 2011. I mean, I remember coming in every morning and agents and just sitting there role playing through CHSA. Like it's funny. I know all 3 of us here could close our eyes. And I mean, I haven't been in a house since 2012. With confidence, I can go in right now and articulate CHSA. That's how many reps we have with it.
Right.
But I would love for you to talk through, because we address this in cooperation. We really talk about, 3 types of buyers, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, why this is not. So I would love for you to pull that principle out and share, because it's super important.
So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, 71% of the time that a property sells, it is done through a cooperative agent. Part of our marketing plan is not just to expose your home to the buyers that we have, but it's to show that to as many eyeballs as we can possibly get it in front of it. I hope that I bring the buyer, but the reality is that the buyer for your home that's willing to pay the most amount of money might already be working with another agent. We want to get the most exposure that we can so we can attract the highest offer. Do you want to attract a high offer, or do you want to attract a low offer? Okay, then what we want to do is make sure it's exposed to the most eyeballs. And that has to be part of your marketing plan. It's not just marketing to buyers, it's marketing to the other agents in the marketplace that might be working with the buyer. And that's, if I'm competing against a Compass agent, I am going to illustrate very clearly percentage wise of eyeballs that you're not going to get by never being on Zillow. And what seller is going to be like, no, I want to be exclusive with Compass?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah. It almost, and when you think about it, Jay, the statistic, I don't know if that's still the accurate exact statistic, but I'm sure it's floating somewhere around between 70 and 75%.
We'll ask ChatGPT in the background here.
Yeah. Let's ask them. They always got the number. But you think about that for a second. That accentuates why cooperation is so important. Now, if you have one brokerage or agent, whatever, that is not cooperating, they're not playing fair, that also hurts not just that brokerage and agency and the agents, but their clients that they have their listings out there. It's hurting all of their ability to also get exposure to the full market, because they're being told a lie when they sit down that this is the best plan for them. Less exposure is better, because we have so many agents and we have, all these buyers. And again, you have to ask yourself, who does it serve? Like who does it really serve? Now, there's comments. I was reading all the comments and they're interesting. Most of them are all pretty much agreeing with what, our mindset is on this and our opinion. But there's always one. I just met 2 sellers last week, and they insisted not being on the MLS. They insisted that I just made phone calls to all the people I knew to see if they wanted to buy the house. I'm like, you fool, you could still delete that dumb comment. But like, okay, yeah. How many celebrities, how many people, like, that are of status that don't want, the public knowing for whatever reason? I'm not saying that that doesn't exist, but it's like a 1/10 of 1%. It's not even 1%. It's like a 1/10 of 1% where that might be the case. And God bless them if that's the case. They'll probably have a high-end home. Maybe you can throw it up. At the end of the day, it's 1970s, 1980s mindset. It's actually rolling the clock backwards in time to the days of the 80s where there wasn't co-brokes. You went to the listing agent directly as a buyer, unrepresented, and you hoped that you could negotiate a good deal. That's why buyer's agency became a thing, because buyers need the representation. They don't do this every single day. And so, it's interesting, the players. And by the way, this thing with the private listings, this is not new. Howard Hanna did this, I want to say 15 years ago. It may have been 10, but it's been over a decade that they came out with this thing. It was a big stink then. I know a ton of amazing Howard Hanna agents, by the way. Friends with them. In fact, I was just hanging with some at the Islands this past weekend for the 4th of July. They don't use that. They don't use the private exclusive. They agree, because you know why? They're ethical. They have ethics. They sleep at night knowing that that's not the best direction. Less exposure is not the right answer. And so, I stand
corrected. It's 85%.
80. Imagine eliminating 85%. If you're going on listing appointments this coming week, make sure you write that stat down.
You know what? And so, like, listen, like, this is like even one of our steps in the process, especially as your inventory climbs, you highlight certain listings and like typically what agents, right? Like, so think about it, cuz we had all the buyer leads, right? We had Tiger Leads, Boomtown, and Commissions Inc. We had all the buyer leads.
Yeah, we did.
But yet we would still call certain agents that sold in certain areas, that sold certain properties, because we knew they had those buyers. Still to this day, right? Like, we maximize the exposure of getting it out and going and understanding. I love that it's 85%. Ours was, we fought hard to get that number down, but it was always that high too. So
it's actually even higher than that. It's 94% of all 2024 U.S. home sales were agent assisted. Only 6% were FSBO. Within that, agent assisted deals, 10% were double ended. So it's really 90% unless it was FSBO. So just
90% of the agent assisted homes were sold co-oping agents.
Yep.
Okay, yep. I know we've talked about this before, but
that's crazy.
Let me take you back to the island for just a second, because John and we've heard about all the stories.
He's trying to block that out, Al. Come on, he's like, compartmentalize that.
Well, he's safe. He's safe back in Dallas, so it's okay. Yeah. You don't have to go back.
Anxiety attack.
Just you. I know you didn't sell real estate, but you were a consumer.
Yeah.
On the consumer side, both buyer and seller side.
Yep.
You don't know what you don't know until you've actually had to experience.
Oh, yeah. I had no idea. Being in the business, you'd think I had some kind of an idea what I was getting into. It was the wild, wild west. And once I understood the game, I was like, okay, all right, well, I my thought was, let me hire the best agent. I want one agent to represent me that can show me everything that's on the market. The truth is, they don't share the information with each other. So you had to have 10 agents that you talk to find out, 50% or 60% of what was available. If you didn't talk to the right 10 people, you didn't find out about other properties. And it was, as a buyer, it was a nightmare. As a seller, when someone lists your property and it's not publicly listed on Zillow, you can't find it. As a buyer, you're trying to find, well, what's available. And it's nowhere to be found, because they never even took pictures. The house that I lived in that was on the market for $13 million, I lived there a year and a half, and it was for sale the whole time. Never one showing. They actually called us to take photos of the house because they didn't have photos of the house to send to somebody at one point. I'm like, this is then the lady asked me, what should I do? I said, you need to fire this agent. Like, this is, I mean, your house isn't actually for sale. No, the only person that knows it's for sale is her. And I don't, she's not marketing it. So I don't know how she's getting anybody to interested. Obviously she's not, because it's never been shown. But like, that is just not, it wasn't good as a seller, and it wasn't good as a buyer. I ended up selling mine for sell by owner. And the reason I did that was because I didn't trust any one agent to do any marketing. So I marketed it and said, hey, I'll pay y'all a commission. Whoever brings the buyer. And guess what? One agent brought several buyers and sold the property and got paid a commission. And so, it was absolutely, it's terrible. It's a terrible experience for either a buyer or a seller. And so, it's wild. It's not what you want. We don't want the industry going this direction. It's not what's best for agents. It's not what's best for consumers. Nobody wins in this situation, buyer or seller. It breeds bad behavior, right? Like that you're ultimately, trying to trick sellers into trying to double end your listing, when in the back of your mind what's best is that if everybody else knew about this property, I'd probably be doing multiple offers, and I'm trying to sell it to the first one that comes through, and that deal might not be the best deal for your client, and that's it's crazy to me. I don't know, maybe I'm just the only one that thinks that way, but I don't think.
Dude, I mean, let's break it down for people that don't understand what we're talking about here. You lived in Dorado Beach, Puerto Rico. Not even arguably, it was the place to be. It was the best place to live in the entire island. It's also probably the most expensive, but it sat you lived in that home for a year and a half. It was listed with an agent. They don't abide by any MLS rules, none of this cooperation stuff. It's wild, wild west, and they didn't have a showing for a year and a half. And it's not like you lived in, in some bad neighborhood or anything like that. Like
it was definitely overpriced.
No,
once again,
on the golf course of a Ritz-Carlton property and not one showing.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what you're signing up for. I tell you this, do your homework and, make sure that you're choosing an agent that puts you first.
Yeah. Tim, do the math. It's like, you might as well sell it for sell by owner. 6% chance, 6% of deals sold for sell by owner. And you only have a 10% chance, you're only getting 10% exposure by listing it in-house with one agent. I mean, it's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's not being brought up is the whole, it's known as the 80-20 rule, but in real estate, it could even be like the 90-10 rule, meaning 10% of the agents in any office really do the majority of the sales. The other 80 to 90% don't do much. That's a fact across all brands, right? So keep that in mind. If they're saying that, we have all these agents that are going to have all these buyers, chances are 90% of the agents in that office don't have a buyer for it. And maybe the 10% do. What a coin flip. If I had to, sell my home.
Yeah. It's like Joel made a comment in here, and it's 100% true. It's just intellectually dishonest. If they actually understood what they were signing up for, they wouldn't be signing up for it. Like that's not, it's not being, until an educated agent is on the other end competing against that Compass agent, you don't even know what you're actually getting yourself into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until it's too late. And you're burning days on the market. Now your house looks market worn. It's all of those things are just negative for the seller. And you can't guarantee that's not going to happen. It's costing them money.
Yeah.
Best for the consumer.
Yep.
Bad people, man. Bad decisions.
Yeah. And I mean, let's that kind of is a good segue into our next topic, which is the real estate market right now. Year over year, we're actually still down from 2024 in number of sales. Last year, 2024 was coined the worst year in real estate since 96 or something like that. And they're talking about number of sales. Yet, my opinion is we're not looking at any kind of a bubble or a real estate crash, because there is pent up demand. And there's two things: inventory levels and rates. And right now, our inventory levels are rising. I think I just read the average market time has gone up to about like 34, 35 days on the market, which you guys, when I met you guys in 2010, I think our average market time was probably closer to 60 days, 65 days on the market. Like I would have given anything for a 34-day market time, but they are rising based upon like the last 5-6 years, what we've been used to of putting a listing up and it's gone. Now imagine kind of combining this 3-point strategy that you just read that email about, or whatever they called it, marketing strategy, with a bad market.
Oh,
It compounds everything. And so, we are seeing inventory levels starting to go up, which is not a bad thing. That's a good thing for buyers. What now we need is those rates to bump down. And I don't think we even need them to bump down a little bit. This was my big complaint. Was it 3 years ago when the Fed just jacked the rates up from where they were high 3s, low 4s to over 7%. And they did it quick. That to me is reactive. Was it Jerome Powell? And I think President Trump actually just called him out recently. He's like, stop being reactive. Start, they say in hockey, you skate where the puck's going, not where the puck's at. And the Fed needs to start thinking about that strategy when it comes to rates, because by the time, and unemployment's looking good, the market, the economy's looking good. So we don't feel like it's necessary to lower the rates right now. But there is things that are starting to fester right now. And the housing market drives the rest of the economy. Everybody knows that. And so now the last thing left, we got one out of the two things. We have the inventory starting to rise in certain areas. I'm a buyer right now. I was a buyer right before those rates went up, and I jumped out. It was a second home in Florida. I was out there shopping around. I pulled back and stopped. And now I'm back, and I'm just waiting for that next rate drop. And now I think it'll be a great market. What do you guys think? Like, Q4 or maybe Q1 of 2026. Can you believe we're talking about 2026? What are you guys feeling that we're going to see here in our real estate market? Are we going to start seeing more inventory levels rise? Are we going to see the rates coming down? What do you guys think?
Well, I try not to think anymore because I've noticed that I'm I always go to ChatGPT and say, what do you think? And so just know that when I'm talking, I'm coming from a place of an infinite intelligence. So again, according to ChatGPT, 0.5 point rate drop, 85% chance, probability is 85%. Nothing, no change. It's less than a 5% chance that the July 30 meeting is going to lower the rates right now. But a quarter rate deduction in September, October with a year-end level of a total of 0.5% that's what ChatGPT is saying. 85% probability.
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, Al, just talking with everybody across the country and just obviously getting Canadian perspective and then having our boys in Portugal, so getting kind of a global perspective. Inventory is just going to keep climbing. And I mean, they're already experiencing it in Canada. And so like working with agents on, language in, their marketing fees up front, marketing fees if home doesn't sell, like getting all of that language back into their addendums and their agreements, just because they are seeing things go up. And the conversation and everything that has to be had with sellers and continuing to educate and remind and doing the things that we know to do, but most agents have forgotten or gotten lazy or abandoned because of the market conditions over the last few years, but having to get back into, how to articulate, kind of set the stage of what's really happening in the marketplace with sellers. So to your question, Al, I mean, I just think inventory is just going to keep climbing.
Yeah. I was just I was trying to find the stat that I just read about California. They I don't know who came up with this, but they estimated that they're actually short, specifically some kind of a range from somewhere from 2 to 3 million homes needed right now, like to address the shortage, like right now. And we're not talking about $1 million plus homes. We're talking about the affordability for your average, middle class family they're millions and millions of units short. And we could have a whole podcast about the fact that all these homes that burnt down back in January, of all the homes that have burnt down, five have gotten permits to start to rebuild. All the rest, they're just in waiting patterns. That's a different story. That's Kyle Whistle's.
He gets to deal with that.
Solution for that. But going back to just the shortage, there's a huge opportunity. One of the things I'm most excited about is finding areas and land. They're starting to put like the whole modular home thing, where they're building these homes in factories and getting them up in record time, is starting to become a very big thing in many markets. And just in Ohio alone, they have I think about a dozen of these factories, and they're ready to build these things. And it's crazy because from the time that they can ship the stuff out, they ship the roofing, the trusses, the walls, and all that. They can put it all together in one day. They have a plumber connect the main things, and it's up and running, and they put the finishes up. It's done. And so these are the types of things that I think we're going to see over the next 5 years, because we still do have a shortage. We're going to be squeezing people out of homes, and they're going to be stuck in rental apartments, like we're seeing in other countries like Europe and whatnot, where home ownership isn't even, there isn't an American dream over there. People just, they can't own their homes. And I think that's over the next 5 years, we're going to start to see that opportunity. And if anyone's an investor in that, definitely,
what is it called? What do they call it? It's not modular built home. What is it called?
Well, they've talked, it was called manufactured homes, and that had kind of like a negative connotation, because you think of a mobile home, right? These are not mobile homes. These are, I guess they are modular, maybe they're constructed everything in a factory. They're using better materials. And by the time they come out, most of the labor is already done. They put them on big flatbeds. They ship them out to the site, and then they just put them together. Even the roofs come like this, and they pull them up, lock them in place. In one day, they could have, a 1,500 to 2,000 square foot home constructed. Plumbers plug it all in. They hook the electrical up, and they could be living in that house in a week. So I don't know, other than modular, what they would. You think there's another name that they call them?
I don't know. I'm about to find out.
GPT.
You stirred up some memories, Al, with modular homes. Does it have wheels? Are the wheels still up?
Real estate. We used to sell real estate.
Yes, we did. Oh,
did you say wheel estate?
Real estate. Yeah.
Man, I used to collect on those homes. I was a collector before I got my real estate license for Chase Manhattan Mortgage. And they're not mortgages, by the way. They're car loans when they're mobile. And those things sink in value the second you take them off. These are not. Yes. These are a fixed. You could put these things on. All you need is the foundation or a basement. You slap them right on there.
Boom.
You bolt them down. This is actually real estate.
Pretty wild. I do have a question for you guys. And Leanne and I were talking about this last night. And, we've always, sellers want the most amount of money back in their pocket. Buyers are looking for the best payment. And so we were having this conversation, and, she did a post yesterday, just throwing some questions out, getting some feedback on something. I was like, throw it out there as a question. But it just made me think of it as you were talking, as, Al, you're a buyer in the market. So are buyers looking for value, or are they looking for the payment? And I guess from an investment side of things, are you, looking at it a little bit different, but we're talking about where the shortage of homes is entry level of affordable housing. Is it, are buyers, maybe it's kind of a different perspective, but are buyers looking for the right value, or are they still like, no, I need to get into this payment. This is kind of where I'm looking to stay.
I think that it depends on the price range and the situation. But if we were to say the majority of people, I think at this point are looking for, they're going to shop and with what they can afford. And usually, you guys tell me, when you guys worked with buyers, Did they not want to shop right up to where the mortgage person got them approved for?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they rarely, like, did you get someone approved for 200,000? Say, I think I want to buy 110. You show them one house in the 190s, the 200,000 or 220. They're like, yeah, forget the 110 house. It happened literally just when I was just looking at cars. I bought a new car for Courtney, and we were out shopping around. She looked at she drove 4 cars. First one, second one, the most expensive one was the last one, and guess which one she picked? I mean, it's human nature. You don't. If you got a choice between, and I have a GMC truck or a Ferrari. Now that's probably not a good example, but like if you were given the choice and you drove both, you're going to want to drive the Ferrari. I mean, I love driving my truck just as much, but it's just, you're going to shop up to what you can afford. And that's the other thing is that, the amount of, I just heard some mortgages that are coming out that scare me a little bit, to be honest with you, because I think it's 34%. Your housing expenses should be at or below 34% of your income. That's how they figure your payment. And I've been seeing some loans that are now starting to creep out there that remind me of 08, 07.
Oh no.
They're raising that up significantly. And that's just, that will get us into trouble. You start doing that. Now we will start seeing, more people, struggling and potentially losing their home if they're going to be given loans out at 60% of their income. That's just asking for trouble. I haven't seen a lot of it, thankfully, but it's out there. So be careful.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Good stuff. Lots going on. Make sure you go to honeybadgernation.com. September 24th and 25th, Agent to CEO. Come hang with us. It will be it'll be the event that you remember for the rest of this year. You're going to look back and be like, damn, that was amazing. If you've never been to Cleveland, you will be pleasantly shocked and surprised. I guarantee you that. Or I'll
Good time of the year.
That's right.
Good time of the year.
It's
awesome.
It's beautiful. We're right on the water, right on the
Other thing that we want to throw out there, Al, go to honeybadgernation.com and nominate your Honey Badger of the Month. We announced the Honey Badger of the Month. We started it last month, May, and then announced our winner in our winner for June, which was Rose, who's going to be joining us in a couple weeks here on One Big Fire. But go to Honey Badger Nation and nominate Honey Badger that deserves that shout out, because they're doing some Honey Badger stuff.
Yeah. And, just talk about Rose a little bit. You may be wondering, well, why would I, who would I choose and why would I choose them for the Honey Badger Award? And, Rose's story, I don't want to blow it because, I want you guys to wait till we have her on, but it is a story that inspired me to my core when I heard, some of the things that you're going to learn about this young lady. She is relentless. Talk about, you listen to that episode, and it's what, 2 weeks, John? We're going to have Rose on.
Yep.
You're gonna see somebody who was, beyond someone that could have come up with a million excuses not to get to events, not to win, not to go out and even throw her own events. She rose above it. No pun intended. She rose above it. And that's why she was nominated by several of her peers to win that Honey Badger Award, and she earned every bit of it. And we love you, Rose. Congratulations.
Congrats, Rose.
Amen, brother. Congrats. Awesome, fellas. You guys are rock stars. And guys, honeybadgernation.com or Agent to CEO CLE. Get your tickets. They will sell out. We only have 100. That's not like some marketing scarcity ploy. We literally, the space only holds 100 people. So get your tickets. When they're gone, they're gone. And we'll catch you guys soon. See ya.
See ya.